Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A quick talking points of understanding the way it came to me, which I made notes of. So I want to share some notes with you here. And this is regarding understanding the new way the new human being functions in the world. And this is with regard to the new human being model that you see on your left. Number one, understand that everyone lives in a box of their own reality. We have 7 billion people on the planet. So guess how many boxes of reality there are. To really understand this, and I mean to really get this at an emotional level and a mental level, that I am living inside of a box, the box of ideas, beliefs, mental structures, what I think is right and wrong, and what I think should be good and bad, etc. That's a box. These are structures of upbringing, and everything going on in my life right now in and of itself is huge. So try to embrace this first singular aspect, not fight it, embrace it deeply in the heart and in the mind, because understanding requires both of these. It requires heart and mind combined. It's not one singular thing. It has to land inside your heart. Do you really understand this as you walk and breathe each waking hour? I mean, if you go out in the streets and you pass by a whole bunch of strangers, do you understand that just as you are living inside a box of your reality, so are each one of these individuals? Take that into your heart for a minute. Number two, understanding that as much as there is a box of reality that I am in right now, I can always adopt and change and jump into another box, another set of belief structures, truths, etc. in another phase of my life. And that's the way life is, folks. Each one of us changes, each one of us matures into something else through phases of our own lives and circumstances and situations. Basically, we are stepping into another kind of box, from one box to another box. We are limited by that box now, and we understand that box which we are now into, and try to work with that box. All boxes are changeable, because life is a malleable process, folks. Life is not etched in stone by anyone. There is no one truth anywhere. Doesn't matter how hard you try to seek it. It simply isn't there. Truth is as vast and as available as any other truth of any other person, and in any and all boxes. Number three, true understanding requires wisdom, and that wisdom comes from living as a soul through multiple lifetimes. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not is a completely different topic. It is not gained by textual knowledge. You can't gain understanding by reading a book, although it can point you in that direction. But understanding is gained by life experience, and that life experience comes by living many, many lives as an individual, as many genders, as many cultures, races in the world. That's how evolution of a soul takes place. So the true understanding comes from having lived certain kinds of experiences, and I mean life experiences. So trying to inculcate a sense of understanding is really pointless if you look at it from this perspective. Okay? The base or the foundation on which understanding is based is on life experience. It's a gained understanding. It is gained concept. It comes through wisdom that is gained by old souls. How many times have you lived on this planet? I've got a lot of wisdom. Okay, and these days a lot of young children have that because they're coming in as old souls. This is part of the revolution that is taking place. So you are a parent, a boss, a leader. Try to convey this understanding through measuring years as an adult or life experiences. Okay, I know that it's a little troublesome to do that, but try practicing this. Try practicing understanding as what is gained as years of experience. This is what experience, by the way, provides to any human being. Some people learn through it. Some people get stuck in the wounds that they have received as a result of their being in this broken society. Number four, understanding also comes from the ability to understand the vulnerability and the fragility of the human being. As human beings, we are very fragile creatures, folks. Words can hurt us. Others' action can hurt us. We can very easily be hurt as human beings emotionally. let alone the physical hurt, but the emotional hurt is very powerful for human beings. So we are all fragile creatures, very vulnerable creatures. Whether it be physical weather or something, or whether it be mental or emotional, but we are basically very emotionally vulnerable creatures. This has to be understood as a fact, as a truth of life. We are all this way. So accept and embrace your vulnerability, your softness, your tenderness, which we are really a tender creatures deep inside. And understanding comes from knowing that that vulnerability and sensitivity is really a powerful strength and not a weakness. In an older patriarchal society, we have made physical strength and masculine physical muscle strength and aggression as the powerful infrastructure of operation, if you want to call it that, and feminine and the subdued submissive energy as something which is not powerful. This has never been the truth and never will be the truth, because we are basically emotional creatures. We are nurtured and brought into this world by that same feminine strength as our mothers that each one of us have. And that's what has built us emotionally strong. Or not, depending upon what kind of parent you have been brought up with. So truth has never been the case that it is one directional. The truth of understanding the heart-centered consciousness comes from accepting that I am fragile, I am tender, not submissive, tender, and that I am vulnerable emotionally. But this is the strength. Vulnerability is a strength. Think of it this way. Number 5, understanding or lack of it comes from understanding of the fact of the phenomena of competition. We have been led to compete, the violence of competition that we have been imposed upon, that we are participating as individuals and as civilization. The acts of competitive violence, which is something like, how can I get the better of him or he or she? How can I make one-upmanship with this person? How can I put the other person down so that I can come up? In studies, we are taught this. You should come first in the class. You should come the highest ranking, and then you are given all the quote-unquote love by your parents and your friends. When one human is pitted against another in this form of competition we are teaching in schools, it is only preaching and teaching inherent violence, the violence that is hidden. Right from the time you and I are in school, we are taught this silent and insinuating form of violence where the hidden agenda is to say, this is a jungle, not a civilization. You are in a jungle of everyone's desires and propensities. Scarcity is the norm here. There's not enough to go around. There's not enough resources. You have to just keep going all the time, like on a perpetual hamster wheel. This has been going on for quite some time, as we all know. But this is not the way nature works really. This is just a very myopic perception of the actual facts of nature, where everything is supremely abundant. Take an example. One apple seed gives rise to 1,000 apple trees. It does not create just one more of itself. That is the abundance of nature. Which model do you choose to follow? Just imagine, as a child has to grow up with this kind of a paradigm where they are taught competition and hence the embedded nature of violence. Where is the question of understanding? You are never trying to be in your heart center. You are always trying to be in a survival mode. You are like the tiger always trying to hunt for a prey in the savannah. You are not like the tree who's trying to give abundance to everything around it and live peacefully. Which model are you choosing here? They are all the same nature, by the way. When all you are trying to do is get the better of the other person, he or she can have a challenge or an adversary. You're always looking for adversaries or praise. You have to decide what kind of systems you're going to adopt. First of all, we have to change these educational systems because the child is very vulnerable, very open and receptive. Children are all this way. That's why the young adult grows up thinking only in terms of competition, in terms of getting the better of the next person, in terms of leadership, but that leadership is embedded in a violent nature, in judgment, in putting the other person down in order to get myself up. This is one of the reasons why we are missing understanding so badly in the civilization. And the younger generation seems to be struggling with this idea of competition. Meanwhile, as leaders, you can promote cooperation and collaboration as the factors in growth that will start imbibing and developing and putting into structure and means and ways of how we can inculcate cooperation and collaboration. See, even the words are very cooperative. As the measurement markers for career growth, don't think competition, or don't put your measurement markers for an individual's performance, if you want to go that dry, as something which is competitive. Think of it as how much of collaboration are you doing with others. That's the essence of teamwork, by the way. Okay. Number 6, understanding that comes from the heart-centric wisdom is true understanding. Understanding comes from heart and brain combined. It's a greater sense of heart presence in whatever actions you would speak, actions you would take, in the way you would behave, in the way you would bring that energy across in a room. It comes from more of a heart-centered presence in the room. Your presence will show how much understanding you have. Understanding will come from the truth of this knowing. Okay? You cannot pretend your way into understanding. It doesn't work. We are all humans. We can pick it up, Mr. Leader. True understanding for mature leaders will come from knowing that this earth and all beings born upon it are like one grand beehive in which everyone has got a singular function for the sake of the hive. Hive here being the earth itself and every being upon it. How you actually bring forth in your personal life this concept is up to you. How much are you ready to take on these kinds of concepts? These are not higher or idealistic, these are very real. Think of that word real. To realize means to make something real. So human beings make these other concepts as real. Make violence more real than love more real. So which one are you making more real? Which one are you realizing today? So think of this. You have just been brought up in a broken system. That broken system can always be repaired. It's just a conscious choice, folks. Are you consciously choosing to understand all that's going around you? Are you just touting around slogans and verbiage, shallow words? Or just going by blind acceptance, saying things like, this is the way things are. Number 7 and the last one, I'll leave you with this. If you tie all the previous 6 points together, do you now see how understanding and true understanding can automatically bring about greater collaboration and cooperation? Do you see how it can contribute to a unified earth? And that is the function, and that is the goal understanding itself seeks to achieve in this great beehive called earth. You come from an individual place to the collective from a place of understanding which is both mind and heart-centered. It's a heart-centered consciousness that is inclusive of the mind. So you have to have knowledge, you have to have your shrewdness, your ability, your intellect, everything in place. It's not excluded. Nothing is excluded here. So that's it from me, folks. I hope this